All right. Hello, everybody. Good evening to you all. Welcome to the show. Today is Saturday, February 25th, 2023. You are now watching A Deeper PTE. I'm your host, PTE, also known as Permission to Exist. And tonight we are going to talk about dreams. This is one of my favorite topics, y'all. So I'm super excited to be here tonight. Very excited to have you all on this Saturday evening. How is everyone doing? I know some of you are underneath snow in some parts of the country, snow and ice, actually. So I hope you guys are doing okay. Sorry I'm late. My DoorDash was late. So that threw me off. It was actually very, very upsetting. So welcome everyone. Hey, Moon Bunny, Johnny Kemp, Kimberly, Aaron, Carlinder, Christine, Natasha, Soul Glory. Welcome everybody. Welcome to the show. As you fell into the chat, why don't we talk about dreams tonight, you guys? So we actually teased this topic on the last live stream that we had towards the end of the show. So you may or may not have heard us talking about it. But we're going to talk about it tonight. And I'm going to share with you some of my theories about dreams, dreaming, and this reality of ours. Some theories other people have. And then we're going to get into a little bit of a discussion about simulation theory and the fact that there are people, scientists specifically, saying that our entire reality is indeed a simulation. And we're going to talk about why they say that. And I think it's all related to dreams and dreaming. And I think the whole thing is connected. So we're going to get into all of that tonight. So welcome. Hey, to God be the glory. Hey, Brandon. Welcome, everyone. Hey, Natasha. If I didn't call you out, I think I did. Welcome. So, first of all, why this show? If you haven't figured out by now, I'm completely fascinated by this whole entire experience that we call life. I have been for a very long time and from a very young age, just kind of sitting around going, what is this? Like, how did we get here? Why are we here? Why am I me? And why are you you? And why is that so persistent? And then, of course, tracing it back to where scientists claim it started, which would be, we evolved from monkeys, according to them. Then, when you trace it back on the spiritual side of things, they say, we were created by God and placed here by God. Scientists also say, we started with the Big Bang. But the way I think about it is, okay, if we did start from a Big Bang, well, where did all the stuff from the Big Bang come from? And what caused it to go boom? And even before the boom, like what all was there? Like where did all the elements come from? You know what I mean? They just manifested out of nowhere. So I have a lot of questions about our reality. And so that's what leads me to these deeper thoughts about things like dreams. So dreams have always intrigued me for many reasons. So I'm going to get into the reasons first that I find dreams very intriguing. Then I'm going to get into some kind of higher level questions about them. Then we're going to talk about the simulation theory and why I think it's all connected to all of this. Okay. So, welcome everyone. And I forgot, I have a book on dreams upstairs. I might go get it. But I do have a little book on dreams where it tries to help you interpret your dreams. They've never been very helpful to me. What about you guys? Have y'all ever like Googled, what does this mean in a dream? If I see this, or if I'm doing this, or if this is happening, what does that mean? Has that ever helped any of y'all? It's never helped me, ever. Chat says, LOL, evolved from monkeys. If I breed loads and loads of fish, eventually I will get a dog, right? That's kind of the logic, right? And it's like, why aren't the monkeys changing now, though? Like, we've had gorillas and chimpanzees and all kinds of great apes for quite a few years now, and they're not evolving into humans. But of course, science is going to tell you that it takes millions of years, which some people actually question whether or not all of this is even millions of years old. But that is a different conversation for a different day. So let's get into a little bit about why I find dreams very strange. Some of these I shared on the last live stream. I'm just going to recap them, and then others I did not share. So, first, I think the first most prominent thing that I find strange about dreams is that you usually do not know you're dreaming until you wake up, until the moment that you wake up. And to me, that's proof positive that something else is going on because the strangest, most unusual things can be happening during that dream. And it's all fine until you actually wake up and you're like, oh, that actually wasn't happening. So, of course, the exception to that would be lucid dreaming, which some people say they are able to do. I don't think I've ever successfully lucid dreamed, which is when you are aware that you are dreaming and then you suddenly become able to control the dream. So you're controlling what happens in it, what you're doing. If you want to fly, you fly. If you want to, go to another city or state, you just do it. And you're totally in control. Anytime I've become aware that I'm dreaming is the exact moment that I wake up. The exact moment. I'll go, wait a second, I'm dreaming. And as soon as I have that thought, I wake up and I'm snapped back into reality or what we think is reality. We'll get into that. But other than that, you're fully in the moment without questioning how that moment came to be, how you even got there, when you got there, what day it is, what time it is. And these are questions that you don't ask or even need answered when you're deep in a dream. You don't ask, how did I get here? Who am I? Well, you know who you are. And actually, that's not on the list, but that's another great point. You typically know you're you. You know that much. You know you're you, but nothing else makes sense. And it's okay in the moment. Let me look at the chat. It says, I found a helpful dream book once in my life when I was in hospital, but I don't remember enough info to find it since. Like the name of it and stuff and the author. Chat says, no, I have interpreted 4 years of dreams, and the common dream interpretation has been close to zero help, right? For me, they almost never help. Chat says, I have lucid dreamed twice. Ooh, tell us about it. Chat says, I've done it about 10 times, I think. One in particular was absolutely fantastically powerful, life-changing. Lucid dreaming says, I lucid dream all the time, but it isn't the most restful sleep for me because I'm so aware, if that makes sense. It does make sense. Chat says, lucid dreams are magical. Haven't had one in a very long time. Flying dreams are also, right? Welcome, JLW, Lincoln, and Blue Columbine, and hi, Teal Woman here. Welcome. Welcome, everybody. Chat says, I heard that dreams are like psychosis. And you know what? I tend to agree with you. I think we're tripping. Like, I think it's the closest thing we'll have to like an LSD acid trip without actually doing drugs. But we'll get into all that. So the next thing that I find very, very interesting is the full acceptance of the moment. So no matter what is happening, you are fully invested in that moment, and it's completely normal and completely acceptable. And that could go so many different directions, but like, not to get graphic or anything, but I've had dreams where like I'm either about to sleep with somebody or in the process of sleeping with someone, and it's not someone that I'm even attracted to in real life. Sometimes it's not even someone I've even thought of in that way, like at all. But in the moment, like it's happening. In the moment, it's happening, and I'm like, okay with that. Like, I had a dream about one of my male neighbors. We didn't actually get into the act. We were getting ready to. I specifically remember that dream. We were getting ready to do the deed. And when I woke up, I was like, ew, why did I have that dream? Why in the world did I dream about him in that way? And why were we getting ready to do it? Gross. But, it and again, I don't look at him like that. I don't think about him I don't think about him at all, other than when I see him, and I'm like, "Oh, hey, how's it going? Hey, how's it going?" That's it. That's the extent of my interaction with this person. And yet I had a dream that he and I were getting ready to do the deed, and it was totally normal, completely acceptable, 100% fully accepted what was happening in the moment. I'm glad I woke up from that dream because gross. Chat says flying, now that you mention it, is the most reliable thing that wakes me up to the fact that I am lucid dreaming. If I'm floating, I think I must be dreaming. I stopped accepting it as normal. Interesting. And you know what your comment makes me think of? There was an old Skittles commercial that I wonder if I could play it without getting hit by copyright. Probably not. But it was many years old. That commercial is probably at least 20 years old. And it's like two teenagers, and they're sitting on top of a rainbow eating Skittles. And I forgot what the one teenager said to the other one, but they basically said to them, like, like, what's happening right now? Like, why are we sitting up here? And as soon as they questioned the rainbow, they fell through to the ground. And then the commercial ends by them saying, believe the rainbow, taste the rainbow. So, in other words, as soon as they questioned the rainbow, because it was a very odd thing that they were doing, you're literally sitting on top of a rainbow eating Skittles. But as soon as the one was like, what are we doing up here? They fell. They fell through to the ground. So I feel like dreams are just like that. Like you're totally fine on top of that rainbow eating Skittles until you go, wait a minute. What are we doing up here? Why am I up here with you? Why are we eating Skittles on top of a rainbow? Boom, the rainbow collapses. So I think that's kind of funny. Hey, Kanga Kong, welcome. Let's see, what else? It said, chat says, I've heard it doesn't matter what you dream about, but how you feel in the dream. Very interesting. And often I may not remember the dream itself, but I do remember how I felt in the dream. And that actually kind of connects to another point, which is I'm kind of jumping ahead a little bit, but the fact that you do feel things and feel emotions. Like I shared a couple streams ago how one dream I was so anxious and upset in that dream that when I woke up, I was sweating and I was clenched, like my body was tense. And I'm like, why are you tense if this didn't really happen to you? How strange. Like I woke up upset as if the thing had actually taken place and it clearly didn't. I was clearly comfortable on my couch coming out of deep sleep. So, anyway, the next thing I find very interesting about dreams is that people can appear different, but it's them. So, your best friend, your mom, your dad, coworkers, whoever, they look, and sometimes even people you've never even met in person, you may not actually even know what they look like. So, I had a dream once, y'all. I'm not going to tell you about who. But I had a dream once. This person I've actually never met in person, never even seen their face before. But I had a dream about them and I just knew it was them, though, strangely enough. But people can appear different, but it's them. So it's almost like these souls that inhabit our bodies truly I think it's pretty well established that our soul is separate from our body, but it's separate to the extent that it can inhabit someone else. And you still know that it's them, though. So almost like they have on a costume of someone else, but it's them. Which tells me that our souls recognize each other, even when we appear different, which just adds to the trippiness of this whole reality for me. Oh my goodness, right? Chat says dreaming of going to the restroom is the worst. It seems so real until it's too late, right? So I'm going to share, and actually, before I comment on that comment, let me share this. So for many years, I did not dream at all, you guys. Like I dreamed a lot when I was a kid, dreamed a lot when I was a teenager. And then I feel like there was like a 10 or 15-year span of time where I didn't dream at all. And I thought to myself, do I just not dream anymore? What's up? Like, am I not sleeping deep enough? What's going on? But lately, probably for like the past year, I would say, not only have I been dreaming actively, but I've been having the most vivid dreams of my entire life. My entire life, I've been having the most vivid dreams, dreams that I can remember, dreams that I can write down, dreams that I still think about. And it kind of bothers me because I'm like, why did you go through this period of basically dream silence? And now all of a sudden you're dreaming again like crazy, to the point, like I told you guys, that now I'm kind of scared to go to sleep because I don't know where I'm going every night. I don't know where I'm going. Where are we going tonight, brain? Where are you taking us tonight? But going back to that comment, dreaming of going to the restroom. Oh my God. Like lately in my vivid dreams, when I have to use the restroom, I will dream of either, God, this is so ridiculous. I'll dream I'm either in a bathroom or looking for one. So once again, real life is connecting to this dream state. And in a most recent vivid dream, I was actually in the bathroom, but I couldn't go. I couldn't go. And in the dream, of course, it's totally normal. And I just thought it was, I don't know what I thought in the dream, but I remember I was in there trying to go and couldn't, really glad that I didn't, because that would not have turned out well in real life. But when I woke up, I was like, oh my God, I got to go to the bathroom. So I hopped up and went to the restroom. But my dream state was trying to tell me, girl, you gotta go to the bathroom, right? Oh my God, it's the worst. And I don't like that because in my dream, I think I'm really actually in the bathroom. I don't like that. I don't like how deeply my dream state is crossing over with reality. I don't like that. Chat says, I used to have sleep paralysis when I was a kid until I was a young adult. It's like a very, very bad trip. Oh my goodness. Listen, I've only experienced sleep paralysis one time, and it was awful because I was completely awake, but I could not move my body. I could not move my body. I distinctly remember that. And I was like, oh, this is what people are talking about. Because I had heard about it prior to it happening to me. I had heard about it, but I'd never actually experienced it. Because I'm like, if you're awake, right? Oh, no. Like I was completely awake and completely aware that I could not move my body. So what I did, I was like, well, I'm just going to go back to sleep. And then hopefully I'll be able to move my body again when I wake up. And luckily I was, but it is a creepy feeling because it's like, what is going on here? What is consciousness? What is our body? When I can wake up and I know I'm in my body, but I can't move it at all? Really? So I just went back to sleep. And when I woke up, I could move it again. Chat says, yeah, I remember you mentioning in a different stream how you don't even realize or second guess who you're around in your dreams. Completely made up people half of the time. I get that too, right? Sometimes the people are made up, and other times I know exactly who they are. Exactly who they are. Like, just to go back to the bathroom dream, one of my most recent vivid dreams, I had walked into a gas station bathroom and I was complaining because the men's bathroom was so close to the front door. But the women's bathroom, we had to walk down and like through the store. Like it was a journey to get to the women's bathroom. And I'm like, God, why is the men's bathroom right by the front door? But the ladies have to walk all the way to the back. So then we get to the ladies' restroom and there was a line. And then this woman just cut in front of me. And I said to her, I was like, why do you think you can just skip everybody? And she looks at the girl in front of her and she goes, oh, this is my daughter. And I was like, oh, okay, whatever. Because I guess my dream mind was like, well, she's just catching up with her daughter. So It doesn't make it any better. You still shouldn't be cutting the line, but whatever. And then it cut to this other weirdness that if I tried to explain it, just know I dropped something. I was fine. I might as well tell you. I was in the stall. I dropped something outside of the stall. And I remember thinking, oh no, somebody's going to grab that and they're going to leave with it. They're going to steal it, basically. Then this bird comes from the ceiling, flies down, picks it up, brings it to me. Then it lands on my hand. It was an owl. It was like a bejeweled owl, very pretty little, strange looking bird now that I think about it, but very pretty in the moment. And then I woke up, child, just weirdness. Like my brain just takes me on just crazy trips. Chat says, LOL, the restroom is not the worst. I've had hellraiser types of dreams many times. Fields of people who have unalived in my dreams. The whole 9 yards. Oof, that's scary. Chat says, I feel like dreams are a parallel reality. We are living simultaneously. That sleep is just switching between worlds. And when we die, we are just leaving this earth reality and not coming back to it. Interesting. I'm going to comment on that a little bit later on. So hold that thought. Chat says, one time when I was about 10 years old, I ate watermelon too late in the evening and dreamt I was swimming in a lake and woke up in a wet bed. Chat says, I had sleep paralysis once and saw a boulder rolling on top of me, and I would see another version of me running on the top of the boulder, and then the ceiling fan speed seemed to be keeping me stuck. Interesting. Interesting. All right. So continuing on, other things that I find strange about dreams. The fact that you are seeing without eyes and you have full visual imagery without eyes. So, and the way that I know that is because you can remember your dreams and you remember what things looked like in your dreams, and you can even draw them sometimes. So the other night, another vivid dream, I had a dream my cousin bought, I guess what would be considered like a futuristic car. And this car, when it was not being driven, had the ability to turn itself into a cylinder, like an 8-foot tall cylinder. And it was black. And he brought it up to my school because that's a recurring theme in my dreams. For whatever reason, school just keeps, even though I'm done with school now, just keeps reappearing in my dreams. He brought it up to my school and he was basically showing it off to everybody. And someone came and said, hey, your cousin's up here with the car. And I was like, oh, really? So we walk over. And when I walked over, it was in cylinder form, which was totally normal, of course. And then at some point it converted to basically an SUV. It was kind of tight. I liked it. In the dream, I liked it. I was like, oh yeah, I like this. I was like, oh yeah, cousin, I like this. This is cool. But it's like, what car would be able to convert into a cylinder? Doesn't matter. My dream brain accepted that as completely normal, totally normal, right? So when I woke up, I texted him and I told him and I sent him a picture of a black cylinder. And he was like, oh, this is cool. I was like, I know, right? It's tight, right? So anyway, the fact that I could remember that at all and send him a picture of a black cylinder tells me that I saw something, but you're not using your eyes to see it with. So what is sight then? What is vision if we're not actually using our eyes to see everything? Like, even we could take that to the imagination. Like, you can imagine things in your mind's eye, but you're not seeing them with your eyes. So what is sight then? What is vision? Chat says, yes, if I tried to explain my dreams in detail, it would be impossible. I experience emotions mostly, right? Chat says, I've always wondered if people who were born blind dream images. That is such a good question. Number one, do they dream? And number two, what do they see when they dream? Especially if they were never sighted before, like they didn't lose their sight, they just never had it. do they dream? And if they dream, what do they see? Because if they can see things without ever actually having seen anything, then I think that blows the lid off reality right there. I'm going to Google that when we hang up. Do blind people dream? And if so, what do they see? Chat says the flying dream is the most amazing experience. Have had it a few times, right? Okay. Going back. The next thing I find very odd and bizarre about dreams is the fact that you remember them at all, as if they happened. Like, that's strange. Because why would your brain remember something that has not actually taken place? I find that to be very, very, very odd. The fact that it records it to your memory, I think, is what's strange. Because according to science, they claim that we dream every night, but that we just forget it when we wake up. I don't know if I believe that, but that's what they say when we go into REM sleep. They say every time you go into REM, you're actually dreaming, but you just don't remember all of your dreams when you wake up. And that's fine. I have no choice but to accept that. But the fact that we do remember some dreams, I think is strange because it seems to me that your brain would only record things that actually happened, but it records a dream as if it actually happened. It's almost like a camera is only supposed to take pictures of things that are there. And if you started, it's almost like finding photos on your phone that you never took. And you'd be like, where did that picture come from? That's kind of the comparison that I can make with it. Finding pictures on your phone that you never took and you know nobody else took them. Like no one else had your phone. Well, I don't know. Did somebody else have your phone out here taking pictures and then give it back to you? I remember one time, I forgot where we were, but I was with my family and my niece and nephews got a hold of my phone. And when I got my phone back, I was scrolling through my pictures. iPhones will let you take a picture without unlocking the phone. So basically, they had done that. They got a hold of my phone and they took a whole bunch of selfies of themselves. And I don't know, I guess I was distracted. I was off doing something else. So when I was looking through my phone later, I was like, what? Where did all these pictures come from? They had utilized that feature. You can basically take a picture without unlocking the phone. Same thing. Where did all these pictures come from? I didn't take these pictures, but somebody did. Chat says, cheating dreams hurt as much as it does in real life. Yes, they do. You'll be sitting there devastated in deep sleep. Chat says, my friend had a dream about me telling me to play the lotto because he dreamt that I won. I got a ticket and I did win, not a jackpot or anything, but I won some cash. We were both pretty spooked about it, right? Ooh, chat says there's a theory that creation is finished. Whatever you dream or imagine, you've already seen it before, or it already exists. Interesting. Interesting. Now, I think that's interesting. All right. So, next thing I find very strange about dreams, time is distorted in dreams. And here's what I mean by that. You can have a very long dream in like a 10 or 15-minute nap. And that has happened to me many, many, many times. I'll lay down just to take a quick nap because I can nap for 10 or 15 minutes and it's fantastic. Take a 15, 20-minute nap, but have like a 2 or 3 hour long dream though. And somebody would really have to explain that to me. You got to explain that to me. Because I'll have a dream where the sequence itself is like 2 hours worth of time, but I was only asleep for 10 or 15 minutes though. So yeah, devastated in deep sleep. I was only asleep for 15 minutes. How did I have a 3 hour long dream? So it really puts a lot of question marks around time. Like, what is time? Why do we perceive time? You know, how can time be so long in the dream state, but in real life, you were only knocked out for 5 or 10 or 15 minutes? Like, how does that even resolve itself in the brain? Like, and it's not sped up. Like, you're not like speed walking through your dream. The dream is taking its sweet, precious time, but it's a long dream, but you were only asleep for 15 minutes though. So I don't know. I think it's very strange. I don't think science has an answer for it. Next thing that I find very strange about dreams is that you typically have no needs in a dream. So when you're dreaming, unless you're dreaming about money, when you're dreaming, you don't need money. You're not worried about money. And again, of course, unless you're dreaming about money or bills or something. But like in a dream, I've never been like, dang, I need 20 bucks. Like, I don't even think about money in my dreams, at least not yet. You don't have a need for food. You don't have a need for sleep. In your dreams, you're typically not hot or cold. So, like, no temperature at all. And in your dreams, you're typically not breathing, or at least, like, you're not aware that you're not breathing in your dream. Like, you're just there. It's so strange. Chat says, I've heard dreams are only a few seconds long, too. Right. And if that's the case, like, what is going on in our brain? What is going on in this reality? This 3-second long dream felt like 3 hours, and I was asleep for 15 minutes, for all of 15 minutes. Strange. But yeah, you have no needs in a dream. It's almost like you're in a perfect state except for your mind. Your mind is going through something, but everything else is satisfied in that moment. So let's continue. I also find strange that you rarely see yourself in a dream. You know it's you, but you rarely actually see yourself in a dream. And I heard a long time ago, you're not supposed to try either. Like, apparently, if you see yourself in a dream, it'll freak you out so bad that you might not ever recover from it. Like, I don't know where I picked that up, where I heard that from, where I got that from. But they say, like, if you find a mirror in a dream, don't look in it. Like, whatever you do, don't look in that mirror. But that intrigues me. And now, like, I want to find a mirror because I want to see what's going on. Like, but they say, like, don't. Like, where did I get that from? It was years ago, I think, when I was researching this topic, just out of pure curiosity. And it was like, try not to look at yourself ever in a dream, because I guess I imagine it would be a lot like how when animals discover themselves in a mirror for the first time. So there are some animals that cannot see themselves when they look in a mirror. So, like, for example, some dogs, not all of them, but some dogs will see their reflection in a mirror and start barking at it and going crazy because they think there's another dog standing there. They don't realize that it's them. Like, this is you, honey. They don't realize it's them. And they'll like try to attack the mirror. They'll lunge at the mirror. They go nuts because they literally don't process, this is me. So it's kind of like, if you don't realize that that's you, who do you think you are? And I think it might be something very, very similar to what we would experience if we saw ourselves in a dream, like in a mirror in a dream. Like, we think we know who we are. We think we know what we look like. But if you saw yourself in a dream state in a mirror, you might see who you actually are and not recognize yourself, and you might freak out. That's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm thinking. That's my thought process. Like, okay, fine. You look into what you call a mirror. You do your hair, you do your makeup, you get dressed, you're checking yourself out. You're like, okay, I look pretty good, or whatever. You go about your day, you see yourself in pictures, and you think to yourself, okay, yeah, that's me. That's what I look like. Then you get into the dream state where that's where you probably what you really look like or what you actually look like. See yourself in the mirror and freak out because maybe you're seeing yourself for the first time. I don't know. This is a sidebar, but I've also always wondered, like, do we really look like what we think we look like? And I mean, like, you see yourself in pictures, you see yourself in a mirror, on a Zoom camera, whatever, and your brain interprets your face, your body, and all that. But sometimes I wonder, like, what if we don't look anything like we think we do? And other people see us the way we actually look or what we actually look like. Because to me, that would actually explain a lot. And to me, it would also explain the phenomenon of people who sometimes are very, very beautiful, but they don't think so, though. And they're not being humble, they're serious. Like they honestly don't think that they're attractive or beautiful people. But the rest of the world maybe does. Like, oh my God, you're one of the prettiest people I've ever seen. And he or she is like, no, I'm not. I'm ugly. And they believe it. And we call that body dysmorphia. But what if that's because they really don't see themselves the way we see them, kind of like our pets? Like I look at my little dog, I see a puppy, but God only knows what she actually thinks she is. You know what I mean? I know for a fact she thinks she's a big dog. I know that. I know she thinks she's very large. She thinks she's a very large animal. She's not, she's small, but she thinks she's big though. So, what if it's something similar? And vice versa, y'all. What if there are people who really think that they're attractive, like think they're fine? And that's why they walk around so cocky and with the chest stuck out. And it's like, do you own a mirror? Like, have you ever asked yourself that question about somebody? Like, do they own a mirror in their house? And the answer to that question is yeah, they probably do, but what's reflecting back to them may not be what you actually see. Like, I think this world is trippy. Like, I think this world is far more trippy than we could ever imagine. Like, it would explain so much, so much. But anyway, I know I'm serious. I'm for real. Like, do you own a mirror? Do you think they own a mirror in their house? Because if they could see what we see, they wouldn't be walking around looking like that. And the answer is yeah, they own a mirror, but when they look in it, they see something totally different. Hmm. Interesting. Chat says food for thought, PTE. Do we see ourselves how others do? I love this topic. You could say it's all in the eye of the beholder. And maybe that's what it really means. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Beauty is in the eye of the person looking at it, basically. So I don't know. I think that's something I think about that often. Like, I think it's very interesting. Very, very interesting. You know? Like, do we get an accurate reflection of ourselves as we really look and as we actually are? I wonder. Like, I do wonder. So let's see here. I'm just kind of scanning the chat really quick. Oh no, chat says I absolutely refuse to look in a mirror in my real life. When I shave, I make sure I only look at my mouth, not up at my eyes. Oh, interesting. Now, why is that? Yeah, those narcissists are suffering. Chat says, oh, there are so many narcs. Those narcs see something different when they look in the mirror. They've got to. They've got, like, it's almost like I feel like we're all under our own individual spell. So some people, well, never mind. I was going to say some people are under a realistic spell. Most people are probably under an unrealistic spell. So, and that could be good or bad. So they look at themselves, they don't think they're pretty or attractive, or vice versa. They look at themselves and think they are pretty or attractive, but it seems like a spell nonetheless. And it makes me wonder if this is why the Amish don't own mirrors and don't believe in cameras. Like, we could go deep with this thing. They may have changed at this point. Like, they may not be like that anymore. But for the longest, I thought the Amish did not own mirrors and they don't believe in cameras or taking pictures either. And it's probably because you're never really supposed to see yourself, I guess, in a way, which is why you can't ever look at your own face. Think about this. We'll get back to dreams in a second. But think about this. You will never look at yourself directly the way someone else does. Never. You'll never do it. The only way you will ever experience yourself is through a photograph, a mirror, or like a camera lens. That's it. But you will never actually look directly at your own face the way someone else does. Never. And one more thought on that thread. This is why I believe, okay, let me back up. So you know how we're living in a Zoom world, Teams world, everyone has to meet, and come on camera for their different company meetings and things like that. Well, some cameras do not flip your image to the mirror image. So what that means is when you turn on your camera, it's actually showing you yourself how people would see you in real life. It's hard to explain, but let me try. So when you have two options, you can either flip the camera to create a mirror image of yourself, meaning when you look in the camera, it looks just how it would look to you as if you were looking in a mirror, because that is how you are used to seeing yourself. But when you have cameras that don't let you flip to the mirror image, what it is actually showing you is how other people see you. And for most people, psychologically, they can't handle it. I know I can't, because I wear my part on one side of my head. I wear my part on the left side of my head. So when I get cameras that don't let me flip the image, the part appears on the right side of my head. And when I look at it, I'm like, oh my God, I don't like that. And then I'm like, oh God, is that how other people see me? Then I have a psychological meltdown, and then I just want to turn the camera off. Like, that happened recently. Our company ordered us some webcams because they just wanted us to have nicer cameras so they could stare at us even better. And when I plugged it in and got it all booted up, I was like, oh no. I was like, let me flip this to the mirror image, but it wouldn't let me. So I politely unplugged that camera and put it in my drawer. And I refused to use it because it won't let me turn the image to how I'm used to seeing myself, which is a mirror image of myself. Chat says yes, and it's so horrible. It is horrible. And then it's like, oh my God, is this how the rest of the world sees me? Is this how the rest of the world sees me? Oh my God, now I just want to have a complete, total psychological meltdown. But anyway, I digress, deeply digress. Chat says, like those portrait drawings, it's like, do I really look like that? Right. It's like, is that how I really look? Oh, goodness. So, yeah. So, and that's probably why chat says, I've always hated how I looked in pictures. Same as hearing my voice on a recorder. Right. Because often it flips it to how the rest of the world actually sees you. Because we'll never look at ourselves, which I think is kind of sad in a way. It's a very strange thing. Like, you'll never face yourself and look directly at yourself. You can stare in the mirror all day. You'll never look at yourself face to face. That's something only another person can do for you. And you for them. Same for them. Very, very trippy, but you know. Anyway, let us continue. So, here's another thought. When things are, at least for me, I can't speak for you guys, but when things are about to get really, really bad in my dream, is typically the exact moment that I wake up. So, no matter what that is, like if it's a stressful situation, if I'm getting chased, if something weird and strange is happening, that is literally the exact moment that I wake up. It's almost like my dream won't let me complete that particular thing. Like, I think I told y'all briefly about my dream about being lost in this giant shopping mall, trying to find the exit so I could get to my car. And I was just walking and taking different turns down different wings of the mall, trying to get out so I could get to my car. And I couldn't find the way out. Then my phone died. And I was really, really stressed out, feeling like, oh my God, I'm never going to get out of this mall. And as soon as I felt that feeling, I woke up and I was like, oh, thank God it was a dream. Thank God. Like, thank God I'm not stuck in a shopping mall somewhere, trapped and can't get out. So it's almost like the stress. It's like, how you gonna take me through all these strange, different scenarios and emotions? Then when I'm getting ready to reach the peak of that emotion, you wake me up. Like, we might as well complete it now. We're already here. You know what I mean? Um, I remember one dream, I was about to get some money and I was happy about it. And right before they gave me that money, I woke up. I'm like, wait a minute though. Like, we're not going to finish this. I want that money. I wanted that money. You're not going to let me get my money. Like, and here's another flip on that. It's not always something bad either. Sometimes something really good is about to happen. And like right before that really, really, really good thing is about to happen, you wake up. Like I've had dreams where I was marrying maybe an ex. Maybe they weren't an ex at the time. Maybe it was just someone I was dating or we were together or whatever. We're about to get married. And right before we are about to say I do, I wake up. Like, why won't you let me finish the sequence? You know what I mean? Chat says, I never thought about how we don't see ourselves in dreams. And now connecting that to not really seeing ourselves clearly in real life, maybe we don't really exist as we think we do. So trippy. I could not agree with you more. That is interesting. It's like that element is maintained, like the never actually seeing ourselves, which I think is so, there's something to that, I think, because it is maintained in a dream. We're still ourselves, but we still don't get to see ourselves. Like, I'm sure people have had these types of dreams before where they dream they're someone else and they're watching themselves or whatever. But I think typically in the dream, you're still inhabiting your consciousness, just doing weird stuff, which is pretty much what life is. We inhabit this one body and we just do weird stuff until the day that it's over. But like, anyway, so those are some of my major thoughts on dreams. So now it leads to other questions. So remember, this show is about dreams and dreaming, and also the theory that we are living in a simulation, right? So I have a thought related to that. Hush, kitty cat. Are you in a simulation? Did you just wake up from your simulation? Yeah. Welcome back. Did you know that you're a cat? Yes, you are. At least for right now, you're a cat. Yeah, indeed. What did you dream about? Huh? You're not going to tell me? Ow, 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 kitty cat, nails. You have nails in this reality. Ouch. Anyway, so now we're getting ready to kind of transition into dreams and the simulation theory and reality and all of that. So thank you, kitty cat. Thank you. I want to just make this comment. It doesn't really fit anywhere, but I want to. She's very vocal. This is a chatty cat, honey. This cat, I believe personally, could raise the dead. So if you have somebody like in hospice care or something and you don't want to see them go, just call me and I'll bring this cat to come visit them. And when she's really chatty, she just woke up, so she's kind of quiet. But when she's really chatty, I'm like, girl, you could raise the dead. Oh my God. I was like, I better not even try to die around you because you're going to snatch me right back. I'll be like, okay, here I come. I'm crossing over, and she'll meow, and I'll get snatched right back onto this side. So here's part of the reason I think the simulation theory holds some weight. The summary of the simulation theory is that reality isn't real. This whole entire thing is a simulation. Whose simulation? Who knows? Why it's a simulation? Who knows? But that's the most basic summarization of simulation theory. So here's one reason I think that might be true. The fact that we can actually forget things that we participated in. So, number one, the fact that we have no recollection, most of us, of our birth. We have no recollection of the first probably 5 years of our life. We have no recollection of it. Most people. Some people do, most people don't. And yet we were there though. And we know that we are there because we're here now. So, and not only that, there's often pictures of our existence during that time. There's video of our existence during that time. And yet we have no recollection of it. None. It's like we just popped in one day, kind of like how you pop into your dreams. You're just suddenly there. Like for me, that was what my experience was like. One day I was just here. I was probably like 5 years old, maybe 6. And I was just here and I was coloring in a coloring book. And that's when it started. You know what I mean? So there's that. But the one that I think is even trippier than that is the fact that you can look at an old picture and be like, I don't remember that shirt. I don't remember that shirt. Or look at an old picture and be like, where were we in this picture? And it's not like that with every picture for me. Like some pictures, you look at it and you're like, oh yeah, I remember that day. I remember who we were with. I remember what happened. I remember all that. But then other pictures, sometimes I'll look at them and be like, I don't remember any of this. And clearly I was there. So how's that even possible when you were an active participant in the event? Like, how is that even possible? So that's kind of related. I didn't have anywhere to put that, but I thought it would be a nice transition over into, well, we're not quite to simulation theory yet. I have a couple of questions as it relates to dreams. Here's my first question. Well, actually, this is kind of simulation theory. How are we so sure that this life is real if we think dreams are real when we're in them? How can we be so sure? And people would say, well, PTE, because you can feel things, you eat food, you go about your day, you drive a car, you go to work, you know, you're doing a show on YouTube right now, you can touch things, you can pick them up, you can't fly, you know, to get from here to another city or state, you either have to drive or walk or fly, you have to do something to go from place to place. You know, everyone looks as they should. So that's how you know this reality is real, because everyone is in the right body and everything is in the right place at the right time. But my question is, when we're dreaming, everything is in the right place at the right time. When we're dreaming, everyone is in the right body at the right time. Like you, if your mother looks different to you in a dream, but you still know it's her, she's in the right place at the right time. So If we're basing reality on the fact that everything is in the right place at the right time, we have sensations, all five senses work for the most part, there's a sequence of events, time passes, and all that. If that's what we base reality on, but the exact same thing happens in a dream that you don't realize is a dream until you wake up, how are we so sure that reality is real? How do we know that? Like, how can we be so sure? Like, like I've had dreams where they're so lifelike that when I wake up, I'll say to myself, okay, am I still dreaming or am I actually awake right now? And then I'll have to do some sort of like reality check. They say you're supposed to look at a clock and then look away for a few minutes and then look back. And if a proper amount of time has passed, you know that you're awake. But I'm like, even that's not really satisfactory to me. Like if the veil is so thin between reality and a dream state, then how can we be so sure we're not in a dream state right now? Just like a very persistent, thick dream state, but a dream state nonetheless. Chat says PTF had two out of body experiences. One, I raised up in bed. It was very hard to do. I turned to get out of bed and see myself laying there sleeping. An electric current went through me and I laid back down. Interesting. Now, you know where else I've heard that? I don't want to freak you out. I don't want to scare you. But I've heard of people having out of body experiences when they like have near death experiences. So they'll like pass away on the operating table and they always say they float like to the top of the ceiling or like the room that they're in and they're looking down at everyone like working on them and they can hear what's going on, they can hear conversations and all that. And then somehow they return to their body. So I don't want to freak you out, but that's what I've heard about near death experiences. That they come up out of their body and that's like the first time they're looking down at themselves. Right. Chat says, like how sleepwalkers can see and perform actions, but they aren't really seeing exactly. God, that makes me wonder what we really are. It really makes me wonder what we really are. Like who the body just seems to be some sort of machine that it truly is occupied by something or someone else. And we just use it to do little things that we need to do. But the body really isn't you. Like it's like your vessel, it's your machine. Chat says maybe life is a dream state. But then what is a dream state exactly? Right. And if life is a dream state, then what are we really and where are we really? If life is a dream, then what are we actually? And where is our real person? Like, where is our real self, if not here? Very, very trippy. So that's my first question. How can we be so sure this life is real if we think dreams are real when we're in them? The next one we kind of covered already, but what is time if time can be so easily distorted in a dream? Like your dreams literally do not care about the passage of time. It's almost like it has no recollection of time in a dream. And really, time kind of sort of isn't real anyway, if you think about it, because it's like, let me see how I can explain this. Like, if it weren't for sleeping, we would basically be born and we would just experience one very long day until the day we pass away. So in other words, if you didn't wake up, go to sleep, wake up, go to sleep, wake up, go to sleep. And same thing with the sun rising and setting. Sun comes up, goes down, up, down, up, down, up, down. If that wasn't present, we would basically be experiencing one very long day. One extremely long day. Well, long for some, short for others, but you get my point. It would just be one long, unbroken span of time, which is kind of sort of what it really is anyway. But we are tricked into believing time exists because we count seconds, minutes, hours, days, weeks, months, years. We track them. The sun comes up and goes down. We have different seasons. So we seem to believe time is passing, but it's really not. It's just one long, endless, like endlessness. I did a show on that, I feel like. Or maybe I wanted to do a show on that and I didn't. But it's like endlessness. You're very chatty tonight, kitty cat. Do you want to say anything else to the people? No? Okay. But anyway, um, it gets real deep. It's super deep. Like your life, you might live to be 100 years old, but really it was just one super long day broken up by the sun rising and setting and you waking up and going back to sleep and waking up again. So there's that. And then finally, the question, why does our mind do this? Like, why does this even happen? Scientists really aren't even 100% sure why we sleep. They have theories, but they don't really know, y'all. They don't. Good point. Chat says, well, it actually is a long day as the sun never actually goes up or down. It doesn't. Allegedly, it sits still and we're the ones spinning around. We'll get to that another day. We'll talk about that another day. But the sun apparently just sits in one place and we're the ones doing all the motion. So it is just one very long, continuous day. But scientists don't even fully understand why we sleep. They think it is to repair cells in the body, for your body to have an opportunity to like recover your muscles, get your fluids balanced, things of that nature. That's what they think, but they don't actually know that, you guys. And what else they don't know is why we sleep so much. I think they said we spend 1/3 of our life asleep. 1/3. So that's a long time. And it might even be more than that. But I think it's at least 1/3 of our life we spend sleeping. Nobody knows why. So if they don't know why we sleep, they certainly don't know why we dream. But some people have taken guesses. They think that our mind is sorting out subconscious thoughts, which I don't really buy that. I really don't. But whatever. Other people strongly believe our dreams are predictions of the future and future events, things of that nature. Don't know how I feel about that either, but science doesn't really know. So let me tell you what I think dreams are. And these are just my theories. um, my first thought is that our dreams might be like mistakes in the sense of like they're glitches in the matrix. In other words, I don't think we're actually supposed to remember them. I don't think we're supposed to remember our dreams. So, you know how science says that we dream every night, we just don't remember? I don't think we're supposed to remember. I think that when we dream and we remember it, that's actually a mistake. Like, I think it's like a glitch in the matrix. We're not supposed to remember our dreams for good reason, because look at the questions that we're asking. It's almost like, it's almost like dreams kind of expose the illusion in a way. Like dreams kind of tell on the illusion. Like if they realize that you're capable of dreaming, then they might put together one day that this whole entire experience is a dream. So I don't think we're actually supposed to remember them. They're glitches, they're mistakes. That's one theory that I have. The next theory is kind of common. Other people have talked about this before and they think it is that when we dream, we're actually going to other places. We are traveling to other places. Chat says, I feel that they don't want us to know the true nature of our existence. Couldn't agree with you more. I don't think they want us to know either. I think there are some people out there at very high levels who have figured it out, and they don't want us to know. They don't want us to know because it would freak us out. We wouldn't be able to do anything. It is very important that the illusion is maintained. Kind of remember from the start of the show, experience the rainbow, believe the rainbow, or whatever it is. Believe the rainbow, taste the rainbow, something like that. Don't start questioning it, because as soon as you do, you're going to fall through. Okay? But my second theory kind of aligns with what other people have said, is that we're actually traveling to other places. So you know how science has been trying to figure out teleporting and wormholes and all that? I think it's entirely possible, but I think it happens through the mind itself. So I think it's possible when we're dreaming, we're teleporting to other places. Maybe intentionally, maybe unintentionally, but we're going somewhere. An alternate universe, an alternate lifeline, like who knows? A parallel universe, which science says is possible. It's possible we're doing that. But I definitely think we're going somewhere. Like we are going somewhere, right? Another theory, which somebody actually mentioned in the chat earlier, is that okay, let me back up. This life is a dream because the real life is somewhere else. So when we die, all we're really doing is just waking up from this dream. And it kind of makes me feel like, in a way, like this is going to sound crazy, but we're on a deeper PTE, so let's go there. Sometimes I wonder if we're playing like a very advanced video game. So if our real self is somewhere else and we are the avatar, we are the character that we're playing in this advanced, hyper real, like virtual reality game. And the game itself is so advanced. Like, I don't know what the most advanced video game is right now. Would it be World of Warcraft or something else? Whatever the most advanced video game is, I don't know which one it is, but we would be playing a version of that. And essentially the rules are, because wherever we really are, apparently it's super futuristic and far out there. And basically you design your character and then you're born or whatever. And like every day of our lives is us playing the game from wherever we actually are. And part of the rule system is like, you can't remember, like the game itself is so immersive that if you were to remember, kind of like being in a dream, if you were to remember where you actually were and where you're actually from, you're going to break the rainbow. You're going to fall out of the dream, basically, or the game. So the game has to be hyper realistic, hyper immersive in order for you to play it, or else basically it's no fun, basically. It's so hard to explain. So basically, part of the game that has been designed somewhere is that you have to actually believe you're really in it. Because if you don't, it makes the game no fun and it makes it pointless, basically. Because if you know you're playing a game, then it takes all the fun out of the game. So you have to believe you're a human being, going to school, going to work, eating, doing all this stuff. Because if you kind of like The Sims almost, but like a real life Sims. And you have to believe in it or else you won't play. The game will be no fun. It's so hard to explain, but it makes sense to me. And then that would explain sleeping, because sleeping is basically you giving the game a break because you can't play a game all day long, even though some people do. And you basically take your consciousness out of this game and you go back to whatever your regular real life is, whatever that is. That sounds insane, right? That sounds really crazy, right? But that's what I think. I'm like, what if this really is an advanced, hyper realistic game that a bunch of aliens are playing somewhere? We're the aliens, but our consciousness has been transferred into our bodies, which makes the game more fun because then you think it's real. And the more real you think it is, the more willing you are to play the game. That's the whole point. And then sleep is when you take the goggles off or whatever and go live your real life wherever your real life actually is. And then dreams, I'm guessing, are like just like breaks in the code or like mistakes in the code, like bugs almost. Chat says, what a crappy game, though. Life sucks a lot of the time, right? Well, and maybe that's the whole point. Like, maybe the point is, maybe that's the challenge of the game. Like, can you figure out how to make your life suck less? Because that's the point of the game. Chat says, can I pay extra to get to a better level? I hate it here. But you know what? That's interesting because a lot of people say, a lot of I guess I'll just have to call them philosophers, say that we choose to be here. Like we chose life, like we chose to come here, right? And a lot of people are like, I didn't choose to come here. I wouldn't have come here. You know what I mean? But what if that's the truth? Like, what if we all signed up for this game and maybe we have to sign like a waiver before we play it? Like, look, we're getting ready to put you into a hyper realistic, completely immersive game. So real that you're going to forget your real life while you're playing it. You sure you want to do this? Are you sure you want to play this game? Because people come back and they're super traumatized from it. You sure you want to play this game? And you're like, yes, 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 I want to play. Sign me up. Chat says, oh no, I didn't read the fine print, right? Like sometimes I wonder if some people purposely put themselves on, what do they call them? Not difficulty levels. There's a different word in gaming. But it means like difficulty level. God, what is it called? Difficult. Oh, it's like a mode, something mode. Like, oh, I can't remember. But chat says definitely opting out next time. Expert mode or God, I can't remember. It's a gaming term though that means, now I have to find out. Let me see. Chat says maybe this is hell. Different difficulty levels in video games. What is it called? Oh, well. Wait a minute. The different levels of game difficulty are easy, medium, hard, extreme, and nightmare. So it sounds like some of us signed up for nightmare mode. Like, why did I pick this level? Let me see here. God, there's a different word for it though. It's such a simple term too, and I just can't think of it. Some of y'all accidentally picked nightmare mode, huh? Well. Oh my goodness. I guess it is hard mode or nightmare mode. And see, then like people who who are like born into money or like wealthy their whole entire lives and things like that, they kind of picked easy mode for their game in a way. They picked the easy mode. But some of us, I guess, like the challenge of having an incredibly difficult life. Good point. Ah, good catch. Chat says it's interesting that it says nightmare because we're talking about dreams, right? Chat says nightmare mode, not my best choice. Regretting. 1 star, would not recommend. Right? I know we need the cheat codes, right? Where are the cheat codes? So anyway, that's another theory that I have, that we are an advanced species that for whatever reason, maybe pure boredom, maybe just the challenge, sign up to play this incredibly realistic game that we call life, the game of life. And it's a lot of fun. And what makes it fun is the fact that while you're playing the game, you don't realize you're playing it. And that's kind of the whole point, to get completely lost in the game, completely immersed to the point where you don't realize you're playing the game, because that's the whole point. And then when you go to sleep, or when you quote unquote die, I picture like you like die right on this side, and you wake up on the other side, and your friends are sitting around you going, so how was it? Did you like it? Did you like it? And some people were like, oh yeah, that was a lot of fun. And other people were like, no, I don't ever want to play that game again. That was horrible. Kind of like a dream. You see what I mean? Like some dreams, you wake up and you're like, oh, that was an incredible dream. And other dreams, you wake up and it's like, I don't ever want to dream that ever again. And your friends are like laughing at you, like, haha, I told you. Haha, told you not to play that game. I told you it's going to traumatize you. All right. So, chat says 0 out of 10, do not recommend. Right? Your friends are going to mock you when you quote unquote cross over. They're going to be like, so how was the game? Did you like it? Like, no, I don't ever want to play that again. I don't ever want to do that again. That was not fun. All right, let's see here. Or some people will say it was a lot of fun. They enjoyed it. Okay. So, one more thought on that, and then I'll talk briefly about simulation theory and we'll get out of here. But science does know, science may not know why we sleep or why we do it, but science does know that if we don't go to sleep, we kind of go crazy. And they've even done some experiments in the past, very unethical experiments, very unethical, but they purposely kept people awake, I think for like days or maybe even weeks, purposely kept them awake, and they all went insane, all of them. Chat says, I can't pass this level, man, dang, right? Chat says the torture is part of the fun. I mean, for some people it would be. It's the challenge. Remember, games are supposed to be challenging. If it's not challenging, it's no fun. But again, scientists don't know why we sleep, but they know that we go crazy without it. And I think that's because sleep is your return back to your normal life. You have to go visit your normal life. Kitty cat, what's up? Am I on to something tonight? No? You have to return to your normal life from time to time or you'll go crazy. So whatever our normal life really is, we have to go visit it periodically at least, or we go nuts. So that's just a thought. Now, this is a fun topic. I love this topic, y'all. It's one of my favorite things to think about and talk about. And sorry, one more thought. I feel like if that theory is true, if we really are playing this hyper realistic simulation game, I feel like there's little things in life that give us clues to that fact. Dreams would be one of them, because you have to be reminded in some ways that it's not real, right? Otherwise, you'll literally get lost in the game if you believe the whole thing is real. So things like dreams, things like the solar system, like trippy, weird things that we still don't understand fully as human beings, and we're still trying to like figure it out. Like, how did we get here? Like, that's a pretty vital, important question. How did humanity start? Why Earth? Why Earth and not Mars? You know what I mean? Or Venus or Jupiter? Why not? How come there don't appear to be any other occupied or inhabited planets nearby anyway? There might be other ones out there, but how come they're not close? Because it would seem like if we're here on Earth, it would make sense that like the next closest planet would have people too. That would make sense. That would actually make more sense than them not having people. It would make way more sense if you think about it. Because if life could have spontaneously popped up here, then life should spontaneously be everywhere. And that should be part of our normal existence. Like, oh, guess what I'm going to do for my birthday? I'm going to go visit planet Mars. Yeah, I've always wanted to meet the people of Mars and see what it's like and eat their food and go sightseeing on Mars. Like, that should be normal, kind of like how you go to other cities. That should be normal. Like, hey man, you ever been to Jupiter? Oh yeah, I went to Jupiter when I was a kid. It was a lot of fun. It was really cool. Big place. You'll have a lot of fun. That should be normal. But the fact that we're here alone should strike us as odd. Like, I feel like it gives us little cues here and there to let us know this isn't real. Like, everything I feel like we can't figure out is part of the game design, because it's like we don't want them to actually think they're there for real, even though we do. Chat says, oh, I love that because this life is not normal, but we've been convinced that it is. Struggling is not normal. Even working is strange to me, and I've been working since age 16. I mean, really think about it. You're onto something. You have a really good point. Like, we have to work to eat, which some people will be like, well, duh. Yeah, PTE, you got to earn your way in this life. It's like, yeah, but if you think about it, animals don't do that. Birds don't have to work to eat. I mean, sure, they wake up in the morning, they go find their worms here and there, they forage and do that. Some animals have to hunt for their food, but you don't see animals punching a time clock and getting a paycheck to go buy something so essential for the very life that they have. Like, animals don't have to struggle like that to survive. I mean, yes, some do, but not really though. Not really. Not like that. We do though. We do. So the question would be why? In so much abundance, why would that be the case? Anyway, let us continue. So now let's slide over into simulation theory really quick. Welcome to everyone. I'm loving this conversation. I hope you guys are too. Can't wait to listen to the playback because I know that I am going to think of all kinds of things that I didn't think of when we were talking. All right, let's see here. Yep, here we go. All right. So, what is going on here? Why is it doing weird things? My dream is glitching. Okay. So, a couple of months ago, articles started coming out saying that scientists are starting to admit that they don't think space is real or time, basically. And the article that I found was actually kind of complicated. I'm going to link it to you guys anyway, if you want to take a stab at it once the show is over. But I found an article that was worded better, and it's much easier to understand than the original one that I saw. Here's the original one I saw. It came out on the Daily Beast, and it was titled, Why More Physicists Are Starting to Think Space and Time Are Illusions. And it came out January 28th, 2023. So just a few weeks ago, actually. But this article that came out on the Daily Beast is kind of complex. I was reading through it. I was like, I'm not reading this to them because I'm getting lost and I don't want them to get lost. But I am going to link it for you anyway, because you might not get lost. You might actually completely understand it. But what I did do is go find an article I felt like we could all digest and that it would all make sense for all of us, including me. So this one actually came out October 13th, 2022. So just a few months ago. And it says Nobel Prize winning scientists' findings show that the universe is not real. How do you define real? This is a question typically left to the philosophers of the world or the 1999 cult classic film, The Matrix. Dang, I forgot to talk about that. If I remember after this, I'll show y'all what I was going to show you. It says, however, physics now has something significant to add to the debate. Under what you would call a non-quantum mechanical definition of real, known as local realism, real is defined as when an object, like a car, has definite properties independent of observation or measurement, meaning the universe exists external to our minds. For example, a car can have wheels even when no one is looking. And local means that this car can only be influenced by its immediate surroundings. And any measurable influence or causes under the normal rules of physics cannot travel faster than the speed of light. But under quantum mechanics, local realism gets a little dicey. And 3 theoretical physicists were recently awarded the 2022 Nobel Prize in Physics for a 1972 experiment showing that the local realism view of the universe is likely to be false. Let's see here. It says, okay, let us explain. The scientists' findings show that the universe cannot be locally real, as particles lack definite spin up or spin down properties known as the quantum state prior to their observation or measurement. Therefore, the simple act of observing a particle changes its state, contradicting the rules of local realism. In other words, the universe is real, but only when you're looking at it. So, let me break that down in the most simple of terms. It makes me laugh because it's so ridiculous. Basically, what they're saying is this. In quantum physics, there is this very peculiar phenomenon, which is certain particles behave differently when you're looking at them. So when you're not looking at them, they behave one way. But as soon as you're looking at them, observing them in any way, their properties change and they don't know why. Excuse me. They still don't know why that happens. They've been trying to figure it out for a very long time. So in other words, think of it like this. Since my cat is right here next to me, when I'm looking at my cat, she's a cat. But if I turn my head away and look to where I can't see her at all, she's a dog. But no sooner than I turn and look at her again, she becomes a cat again. And that's a problem. That is a problem because it's very hard to prove that she's actually a dog, because the only way to know that is to look at her. But when you look at her, she changes. Okay? Just roll with me here. So basically what they're trying to say is, oh, sure, the universe is real, but only when we're actually looking at it. And the way that they've determined that is that there are certain particles that are lacking certain properties prior to their observation or their measurement. It is so hard to explain, but it makes sense because I used to actually be really into this, and then it started blowing my mind a little bit too much, and I just walked away from it entirely. But it has something to do with, I think it was called the slit experiment. They took a bunch of, I think maybe atoms or something, and when they weren't looking at the atoms, they would move through these slits, I think like a wave in a wave pattern, right? But no sooner than they actually looked at them, the atoms would go through the slits straight. So think of it almost um, like if you're when your back is turned to the ocean, there's waves in the ocean. But then as soon as you turn to face the ocean and look at it, it's like a flat, peaceful water, like still water, basically. And I don't know how they proved that, how they knew that that was happening. That's way over my head. But they just know for a fact that when they're not looking at it, it moves through like waves. As soon as they turn and look at it, it goes straight. And they're basically they're basically saying that that's the exact same thing that's happening with the universe. That when you look up there, okay, now you see stars and stuff, right? But no sooner than you look away, either they're not there or they're not exactly what we think that they are. It's deep. Chat says could be the drip for exposing the theory that the new sun, moon, clouds, and atmosphere aren't real at all. Do I still have my drip photo up here? Let's see. I think yep, little drip. Got a little drip, which would actually go right in line with what a lot of people have been saying for a long time, in particular in regard to the moon. They say that moon, well, some people say the moon is a hologram or a reflection, but we'll talk about that another day. We'll talk about that another day. So let me see if there's anything else in here that would actually make sense. So as far as the car example that they were trying to say like a car has wheels on it, regardless of whether or not you're looking at it. And the car would be impacted by its environment, like if it's raining or if it's hot or cold outside, or if it's running over potholes, the car would be impacted by the environment. That's what they mean by local. But the problem is with the universe, when they go to observe it is the only time. Wait, let me make sure I'm telling you right. Hold on. Where'd it go? The scientists' findings show that the universe cannot be locally real as particles lack definite spin up or spin down properties prior to their observation or measurement. So in other words, they only have these properties when we're looking at them. It says, therefore, the simple act of observing a particle changes its state, contradicting the rules of local realism. So in other words, the car is not supposed to act different because you're looking at it. It's supposed to be that way regardless of whether or not you're looking at it. If you got a red car parked outside in your driveway, it is supposed to be a red car whether or not you're looking at it. It's not supposed to be a blue car when you're not looking at it and then a red car when you're looking at it. But that's basically what they're saying is happening in regard to the universe, which has led them to their ultimate theory that the whole thing is an illusion. Oh, good point. Chat says this is another way of saying what we were talking about earlier, that it's all in the eye of the beholder. Exactly. Exactly. Thank you, Hugh. It's the double slit experiment. Can you break it down in better terms than I did? Because I feel like I butchered it. Like they basically have like just picture like two holes in a piece of paper or two slits in a piece of paper. When your back is turned, it moves through these slits like a wave. It creates a wave pattern. But when you turn to observe it or look at it, it goes through the slits straight. Is that correct? Do I have it correct? And the question is, why? Like, why are you doing that? like, what are you doing? Why would you change just because I'm looking at you? You shouldn't be changing, but that's what they're saying the universe is doing. It changes when we look at it. Let me see if there's anything else that actually makes sense. Excuse me. And if this is true, then how y'all know about all these galaxies and black holes and stars a million miles away? And how do you even know that that's there if the whole thing is an illusion to begin with? Don't get me started on outer space, you guys. Just don't. Let me see. Okay, this kind of makes sense. I feel like we can digest this. It says, this is what, in theory, makes the universe random, but scientists still don't understand why or how the wave function collapses, an issue dubbed the measurement problem. So, what does the particle look like before it has been observed? Well, we can't know, as the particle before observation is in a state of quantum superposition, meaning in multiple infinite states at the same time. In other words, we have a tough time knowing what it looks like before we look at it because when we look at it, it changes, which is kind of trippy if you think about it. Like, so then how do we even know that it's different before we look at it? Because we couldn't know that it was different before we looked at it before we looked at it. Chat says this is also the reason you can create your own reality. Because basically reality becomes essentially, I guess, what you want it to be as soon as you look at it. Interesting. It says that's why there are double-blind studies, because those are facts. Whatever is in the scientist's mind is what is created. Interesting. That is fascinating. Chat says, like when you know someone is watching you, right? Like you can feel it. So it's almost like the act of looking at something is more powerful than we could ever possibly imagine. Like you have the power, it seems like, to change something just by looking at it. That's what the science is saying. You alter the behavior of something simply by looking at it, which, if we really want to go there, might be the basis of what some magic allegedly can do. Like, you know how some people can allegedly levitate things? I don't know. I really don't know a lot about magic, but if it's true, this would explain it, I feel like, because it's basically saying that things change when you look at them. Oh, interesting. Chat says maybe we're living on autopilot and what we see is someone else's version of reality. When we become self aware, reality changes to fit our desired reality. Very interesting. Very interesting. Darling, I did your show request too, by the way, in the members only section on permission to exist. And we were kind of sort of talking about that very thing. So I did a show on the law of attraction, but it is in the members only section on permission to exist. If you guys are interested, go check it out. But let me see here. So yeah, so I think there's something to this, you guys. Let me tell you what else I think related to this. So you know when a baby is born and you have a newborn baby, and you know how parents like just sit and stare at their baby? Like, what if the act of staring at the baby is what makes the baby grow? Like, you looking at it is actually what like activates its like growth. Chat says maybe it's basically the effects of your energy with the other energy. It's unique. I don't know. Maybe so. Maybe so. But looking at something, there is power in the gaze. Like there's something to it. There's something to that. Or like someone was saying earlier, like when you feel like you're being watched. If you've ever had that sensation, like I just feel like I'm being watched. Or if you've ever been looking at someone and they suddenly turn and look at you. That happens with my pets a lot. I'll be staring at them. I'll just be looking at them, and it's like they sense it, and then they turn and look at me. I'm like, "Oh, hey." And they do the same thing to me too. Like, I'll be in the kitchen washing dishes, and I'll feel one of them looking at me, or I'll actually see them out the corner of my eye. But as soon as I turn and look at them, they'll look away like they weren't looking at me. I'm like, "Girl, I saw you." Like, I don't know, it's weird. But quantum, if you ever really want to go down a deep rabbit hole, look up quantum physics because it is super trippy. So here's another principle in quantum physics that I feel like almost kind of speaks to the theory we were talking about earlier about this being an advanced game simulation. There is a phenomenon in quantum physics that basically two particles can be, I guess they have to be one and the same. So let's say you took a particle and you split it in half, and then you sent it a million miles away. They behave the exact same way, even being separated by millions of miles. I don't know what that's called. I can't quite remember. I think it's called quantum. Is it quantum location? Let me see something really quick. What is quantum location? Let me see. Oh, what is it? God, what is it called? It's called quantum entanglement, is what it's called. It's called quantum entanglement, is what it's called. Hold on, let's just take a look at that really quick, because I really want to introduce that to you guys if you've never heard of it before. It is called quantum entanglement. So yeah, so I'll link these articles for y'all. I'll put them in the comments. Yep. Quantum entanglement. Here we go. Yes. So, quantum entanglement is a bizarre, counterintuitive phenomenon that explains how two subatomic particles can be intimately linked to each other, even if separated by billions of light years and space. Despite their vast separation, a change induced in one will affect the other. Man. Even if separated by billions of light years in space, a change induced in one will affect the other one. Like, this might deserve a show all by itself, and maybe we'll do that. But I think that is insane. And I think it explains potentially so many different things. But in particular, I think it explains like twin connections, like how you've heard those stories of twins who get separated, grow up in separate households, separate families, separate everything, but somehow still ended up living very similar lives. Now, it could be argued they have the exact same DNA, or biology or whatever. So maybe that's why. I think that's one thing. I think soul ties, you know how people talk about soul ties? I think this could explain soul ties potentially. I think this could explain a lot of things. But like a lot of things. But we'll talk about quantum entanglement another day. We'll do a separate show on that, but I think y'all should look into it. It's very interesting. Basically, they're basically just saying that two particles completely separated from each other by great distances, if you do something to one of the particles, the exact same thing will happen to the other one, even though they're nowhere near each other. So then the question becomes, well, what is causing them to be connected? Like, how do they know what is happening to the other one? You know? So anyway, good stuff. Fascinating stuff. Here's what I was going to mention on the Matrix. when we were talking about the advanced game simulation, I was like, what if this is a scene from that movie, not that movie, the movie, The Matrix, where Neo wakes up and he realizes he's in a pod and that the life that he was living basically was entirely artificial, and that he actually lived in like this massive pod of people and their minds were plugged into the Matrix. Y'all know the whole plot line to the Matrix, but this made me think of that game theory simulation. Like, what if we're all somewhere else playing this elaborate game and we just don't know it? I don't think wherever we are would be this intense. I hope not. Like, I hope they don't have us hooked up in pods somewhere thinking we're one thing, but we're something else entirely. But God only knows these days, right? God only knows. But it made me think of this scene in The Matrix where they're just all connected and their minds are plugged into the Matrix, but they and their bodies are somewhere else entirely. Same thing, very similar. Very, very, very similar to everything that we've been talking about tonight. So I hope you guys enjoyed tonight's show. I certainly enjoyed it. Again, this is one of my favorite topics. I am going to watch the playback and make sure I read all of your comments, and maybe we'll do a follow-up show on this, or maybe next time we'll talk about quantum entanglement and other quantum physics theories, because it's really fascinating. It's not as what's the word? I mean, it is complex, but it's not complex like that. It's not like we're trying to understand calculus, because quantum physics is all about like this weird stuff. They just don't call it that. They don't call it the study of weird stuff. They call it the, study of physics or whatever. I don't know. But I hope you all enjoyed tonight's show. Thank you all so much for being here. I really enjoyed it. I hope you did too. And we will get together again very soon, and I'll make sure I link these articles for you as well, okay? But enjoy the rest of your weekend, and we'll talk again soon, you guys, all right? Sweet dreams. Bye.